Hello, my name is George Seyfried, and today I want to talk about the usage of allusions in Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Herman Melville uses allusions, including biblical, mythological, and philosophical ones, to better illustrate the human experience. But in order to understand the allusions that Melville uses and their significance to the novel, we must understand what an allusion is. An allusion, as defined by literarydevices.net, is a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. An allusion does not describe in detail what the author is referencing, and that leaves it to us to figure out what the author is alluding to and why it is significant to the novel. We should also talk about the general theme in Moby Dick. Moby Dick is about chasing something that can't be caught. Ahab is determined to kill Moby Dick, and he rightfully should be. Moby Dick destroyed his boats and caused Ahab to lose his leg. However, Ahab becomes obsessed with catching Moby Dick, to the point that he takes reckless steps to catch Moby Dick that result in his and his crew's death. In chapter 36, Ahab talks about the Pequod's mission, which is to catch Moby Dick, and talks about all the extremes he will go to catch Moby Dick. So let's talk about biblical allusions in Moby Dick. Biblical allusions are used frequently in Moby Dick because of the recognition and significance of the Bible. Moby Dick is an American classic, after all, written in a country where the Bible is not only universally recognized, but also accepted by the majority of the population as the way and truth. Instructions on how to live a fully human life, if you will. By using biblical allusions, Melville enables readers to better empathize with the Pequot sailors and helps them find universal truths in his story. The first biblical allusion I'd like to talk about is the character of Ishmael. Ishmael is our narrator, yes, but Moby Dick isn't about him. Moby Dick is rather about Ahab's chase for Moby Dick, and Ishmael accompanies him and tells the story. In many ways, Ishmael is an outcast. Ishmael tells us that he goes to sea whenever he's depressed or suicidal. Ishmael's name is an allusion to the biblical figure of Ishmael. In the Bible, Ishmael was the son of Abraham and Hagar. Hagar was told by God to name her son Ishmael, which means God hears in Hebrew. One day Ishmael mocked Isaac, Abraham and Sarah's son, and Sarah asked Abraham to exile both Ishmael and Hagar. Abraham did. Ishmael was about to die in the desert in exile when a well of water miraculously appeared to him, fulfilling God's promise to Hagar. Both Ishmael of Moby Dick and Ishmael the biblical figure are outcasts. In chapter 72 of Moby Dick, Ishmael discusses how although Queequeg is his best friend, when both holding the monkey rope, Ishmael only had the management of one end of it. This represents something much more than just the simple monkey rope, but rather a human relationship itself. When Ishmael describes that he narrowly and miraculously escaped the Pequod sinking, he refers to himself as an orphan when he is rescued by the Rachel. In chapter 14, on page 55, there is an allusion to Noah. Ishmael discusses the people of Nantucket, who are mostly sailors. The Nantucketer, he alone resides and riots in the sea. He alone, in Bible language, goes down to it in ships, to and fro plowing it as his own special plantation. There is his home, there lies his business, which a Noah's flood would not interrupt. In the book of Genesis, God saw that the human race was wicked, so he decided to wipe the world clean and give it a fresh start by flooding it. He asked a man named Noah to carry 2 of every animal in the world on an ark for 40 days, and then repopulate the world. By doing this, God gave the human race a fresh, clean start. So what does the story of Noah have to do with Moby Dick? Well, Ahab is from Nantucket. In fact, he's one of the best sailors from Nantucket. So this quote is directly discussing sailors such as Ahab. Ahab devotes all his time to trying to catch and kill Moby Dick. Just like God, we can't understand Moby Dick, and he can't be caught. Ahab's attempts to try and catch Moby Dick end up costing him his life. The illusion of Noah represents man's limited amount of knowledge and defiance. Ahab continues to chase Moby Dick even though in chapter 36 Starbuck warns him not to. However, Ahab responds, "Talk not to me of blasphemy, man. I'd strike the son of it insulting me." Moby Dick eventually kills Ahab and his crew, and this could have been prevented if Ahab listened to his crew and put their needs in front of his own ambitions. Melville also uses several mythological allusions in Moby Dick, including the usage of the Sphinx allusion. In chapter 70, page 259, where the Pequod sailors are decapitating the sperm whale, Ishmael asks the sperm whale to tell him the secrets of the ocean. He remarks, "It was the black and hooded head, and hanging there in the midst of so intense a calm, it seems the Sphinx in the desert." We may know the Sphinx as a statue in Egypt, however, the Sphinx is actually from Greek mythology and is a figure with the head of a human and body of a lion. Those who cannot answer the Sphinx riddle are killed and eaten. In other words, the Sphinx is a monster, a beast. We may know this Sphinx from previous literature, as Oedipus had defeated the Sphinx before the start of the play Oedipus Rex. This quote represents the limited knowledge of man. By comparing the sperm whale to the Sphinx, Ishmael is able to compare the Sphinx secrets to the sperm whale's secret. They both hold riddles that cannot be solved. The whale has knowledge that man does not. We do not know the secrets of the depths of the ocean, unlike the sperm whale. If Moby Dick represents God, Ishmael describes Moby as white a lot, and white is frequently used as a symbol for light. The depths of the ocean may possibly represent God's knowledge, and it is foolish for man to try and obtain it. We saw in Adam and Eve that this always fails. Ahab seeking Moby Dick after his pursuit was called blasphemous by Starbuck in chapter 6 results in his and his crew's demise as well. There is also a philosophical reference in chapter 96 when Ishmael discusses a sinister night on board the Pequod. One night, while the workers are butchering a whale they have just caught and killed, Ishmael laments that the night seems sinister. He calls Ahab's soul monomaniacal. On page 351, he says that it's wise to embrace sorrow and woe. He also adds, "But he who dodges hospitals and jails and walks fast crossing graveyards and would rather talk of operas than hell calls Cowper, Young, Pascal, and Rousseau poor devils, all of sick men." It is interesting that Ishmael mentions Rousseau. Jean Rousseau was a French philosopher born in the 17th century. He believed that man is inherently good, but unjust laws bind man. This allusion can compare to Ahab and his crew. Ahab is a good captain, but his desire for revenge against Moby Dick is causing him to go insane and causes him to put his crew in danger. Ishmael notices that there's a certain level of tyranny in Ahab's control of the Pequod, and this whaling adventure is only for his own selfish needs. So to conclude, allusions, especially religious, philosophical, and mythological ones, are used throughout Moby Dick to help readers understand the central theme that a selfish obsession can destroy lives. These allusions enrich the reader's understanding of the novel and allow us to better understand the character's wants and desires.